I'm JJ Barnes, and this is Jonathan McKinney.
Hello.
And you are watching our new series called Writing Advice with JJ and Jonathan. So today we're going to be talking to you about something which I had a conversation with a couple of people with on Twitter.
Right.
And a woman was asking, how do you start writing if you have a busy schedule, a lot to do, and at the end of the day, when you've got your kids to bed, you've been at work all day, you are just too tired to get yourself motivated enough to try and start writing a book? Because writing a book is a massive undertaking.
Yeah, it is.
And if you've got a busy life, the idea of sitting in front of a blank screen and having to come up with content for an entire novel can be incredibly overwhelming.
Right, yeah.
So what do you do if you desperately want to write, but you lack time and motivation because of the pressures of life around you?
Okay, well, for me, if I were motivated to write a book, but I lacked the time, which I think is quite common because we're all grown-ups, we've all got a million things to do, especially if you're... I think a lot of people approach writing when they get to a point in their lives where maybe they've got young children.
Yeah, and you start to have, I feel like, life experiences, and you've had
you
a lot of
wanting to consume stories.
You're in a point where you've consumed, you've lived, you've experienced, you've had joy and pain, and you're in a space, where you're emotionally available to create because of that life. Yeah,
but of course being a parent has a hell of a lot of responsibility attached to it.
Boy howdy.
It takes a lot of time. So for me, really, I mean, the advice is pretty straightforward, really. It's if you want to do it, you've got to at least make a little bit of time. Do you know what I mean? There's not really a secret to that.
There isn't, but I would say, because I do think sitting in front of a blank page with, you've got your computer fired up, you're ready to go, and then you're crushed by the enormous weight of what you're about to try and do.
Right.
It can be overwhelming, and especially if you haven't written a lot before, or it's been years, say you wrote in school or university, you loved it, but life, as we say, has become busy and you want to start again. I think it's easy to feel like, well, there's just so much. I've got to build a world, I've got to build a cast, I've got to build an entire network of story around my central point. So what I would say is the most easy way to get yourself into that mode of writing, get a notebook, don't bother with your computer yet. I think a computer can be a bit overwhelming. It's a big blank screen. Got to fill it, right? So just get a little notebook and a biro. Not intimidating, just a notebook, right? Start day one. You are going to come up with one thing. So you might come up with the name of your protagonist, your main character. Or you might come up with the theme of the book you want to write about. Say you want to write about, you want to write a love story. All right, you've made a decision. Or you want to write a scary story. All right, I'm going to write a scary story. Decision made. Job one, done. You've got it. So then you go to bed, you sleep. You've got it in your head now. Oh, I'm going to write this kind of story. So the next day you get up. You're like, okay, so what's my protagonist? Mabel. Right, written her. So then you go to bed and you start thinking, who is Mabel? What does she want? What does she like? What is she driven by? You start then to grow it in your head without the pressure of the big blank screen, right? Because once you start coming up with these stories, you're like, okay, I'm writing a love story. I'm writing a love story about Mabel. Who does Mabel want to fall in love with? And who does she really fall in love with? So you come up with your love interest. You might come up with your antagonist. You might come up with her best friend who she talks to. But as you slowly, very, very slowly start to build this world up in your notebook, you will find then that the ideas flow more easily. So when you sit in front of that blank screen, ready to type, you aren't lost. You aren't trying to come up with everything at once. You've come up with it. Now all you're doing is transcribing it. And that is a lot less pressure on you. So you'll find it less threatening, I think. And you will not then struggle in the same way as if you just try and go in balls deep at the beginning.
Okay, so what you're talking about is a process of externalization. So you're going to have a lot of ideas that they all get a little bit bottled in your head.
Yeah.
And that can sort of disorient you as you're trying to think about your story. It's like, what have I forgotten? When you put all of that information down on paper and in a notebook, then you're free of it, but it's still there.
And the thing is, you might have loads of different ideas. Like, oh, I want to tell a love story, and I want to tell a horror story, and I want to tell a thriller. And it's like, you then can't decide. So once you've made that decision, once you've decided, because you can always write the other books another time.
Yeah.
You're not limited to one story, but you've made a decision. And then once you've made that decision, which story is you going to tell? Yeah. You're not lost in your head, as you say. You are externalizing that choice has been made, and then you can just keep going from there.
Yeah, so at some point, obviously, you're going to want to turn these notebook entries into words on your Word document on your computer, or a typewriter if you're,
Old
classic
school.
and old school. But obviously, your word processor allows you to change what you've done a lot easier. So, at some point, you're going to want to start doing that. Then maybe you start with some target word counts, and I'm not talking about big ones.
Oh no! Don't be like, I am today going to write 5,000 words. No, don't do that to yourself.
Yeah, that's a lot of pressure.
It is. So you're going to write 200.
Yeah.
And then if you go over it, that's brilliant. You've accomplished, but it's not. Another break your brain.
Another way of framing it in your mind might not be to have a word count target, but a scene target. So you want to write one scene.
Yeah.
And it starts with your main character, being launched into this story that you're telling, and you know where the first scene's going to end. Just get there, stop, have a cup of tea or a cup of coffee if you're like us, and then decide if you want to keep moving. While you've got that energy up.
If you decide you don't want to keep moving, it's fine because you've done it. You've done what you set out to do that day.
Yeah, and you can stop and reflect and have a noodle on what you're going to do tomorrow.
Exactly. I think that's really good advice. So if you have any ideas about how to start writing, if you have maybe experienced that feeling of being overwhelmed by the blank screen and not knowing what to do and found a way out of it, comment below for us, because we'd just love to hear your ideas. How have you dealt with it yourself? What have you done to get you through that first hurdle of actually being able to start typing? Comment below and tell us. And if you could do me a massive favour, if you could like this video and subscribe to our channel, we can keep growing. And we are really enjoying the fact that we're getting a great response. We're having people talk to us. We know now that we are able to give you the writing advice you want because of the amazing responses we're getting. So we want to keep being able to do that. And come and find us on Twitter as well. I'm Judy Ann Rose and he's John Merck, and we're always over there talking with writing. I blog a lot about writing as well, and there's a website, www.sirenstories.co.uk, where you can find links to all our books, all our work, our upcoming film Hollowhead, that if you are subscribed to this channel, you've probably seen the interviews, the previews, the teaser trailers that are coming out for that film. So that's our little project that we are very proud of. Come and talk to us and tell us what you've got going on. We'd love to hear it.
Yeah.
Thank you very much.
All right.
Bye.
Bye-bye.